Welcome to Speaking of Pets.
We're the Novotny sisters from Cleveland, Ohio.
I'm Dr. Alice Novotny-Jeroman, a board-certified veterinary dermatologist.
And I'm not. I'm Janet Novotny-King, the doctor's sister, podcast co-host, pet owner, rescuer, and lover.
We're here to provide pet owners with science-based information to help them be the best pet parents they can be.
Here's today's episode, created just for you and your pets.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Do you know what doggy DNA is? Have you done doggy DNA on your dog? Well, the only one that I would recommend, and I've done it on my own, is Embark DNA. And we have the founder and chief scientific officer of Embark DNA, Dr. Adam Boyko, who's also an associate professor at one of my favorite vet schools, Cornell University College of Veterinary Medicine. We have so many questions about dog DNA. What is it? Why should we do the test? What are some of the coolest findings that he's ever had? Like, did he do DNA on a poodle and find out it was part boxer? I mean, what surprising elements are in doggy DNA, and how can this, in the long run, help the health of our pets? So welcome, Dr. Boyko. We're excited to talk to you.
Thanks, Alice. Thanks, Janet. Excited to be here.
Janet, why don't you start? Because you were asking me a zillion questions.
Okay, well, why don't we start with why DNA for your pets?
Well, they're members of the family. We do DNA testing for ourselves. I've done DNA testing for myself. It's really cool to see which countries my ancestors came from, find long-lost relatives. You see, in some cases, you know, why I can't carry a tune, or whether I'm a carrier for anything I should know about, for family planning, all of these sorts of things. And also get to see, you know, I'm a geneticist and I love to hear all the cool research that happens as a consequence of, you know, people answering surveys and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, so I study dog genetics because I think dogs are great. And as a scientific question, like, there's so many interesting stories with dogs that we can untangle because it's due to genetics. And so there's lifetimes of research that need to be done in dogs. So it's a really fun time to be in a field like that. And of course, I was like, wouldn't it be great if we had, you know, testing in dogs like we have in people? And Cornell is, you know, probably one of the leading canine genetics veterinary research institutes out there. So we have a really great biobank, great clinicians, great resources computationally. And so I was, you know, fortunate enough to get a position here, build a lab, you know, create microarrays that could answer questions about, you know, people's dogs. We went searching for dogs around the world. It was really fun doing field work. I kind of love getting out in the field and seeing the dogs in their natural environment, as well as going to dog shows, looking at purebred dogs, analyzing their results and what they've been selected for and all that kind of stuff. And so, you know, there's just so much diversity in dogs, and it's diversity because of genetics, that if you have a genetic profile of your own dog, it can really tell you a lot. In some ways, more than a genetic profile in a human can tell you. And so, you know, the founding of Embark was that we thought that we should have a test like this that people could use on their dogs. And I was fortunate enough to start the company with my brother, get into the incubator here at Cornell, get some really great, you know, first hires, leaders in the field, push out a test within the first year, and then just iterate and just add more and more content to it, building larger and larger reference panels, and just having an engaged customer base that has told us so much about their dogs, has reached out to each other and found long-lost relatives of their dogs, just all of these wonderful stories that we've heard from people who have taken the test, and just seeing the science that my lab and other labs work on and we talk about in scientific journals actually, like, getting through to actual pet owners who are doing different things with their dogs and understanding their dogs in a better way now that we have a test that they can take.
So how does it work? So I have Libby, who's a 4-year-old rescue golden retriever.
Which you know nothing about her genetics.
I know nothing, but you did give me the thing that told us that she's 100% golden. I didn't care, but you gave.
Oh, because you didn't Embark DNA on her.
Is that what that was? Because you sent it to me and said, do this, and I only did it because it was free, because I really didn't care what she was. But anyway.
Right.
So what happens for a customer who uses Embark Pet? How does it work?
So typically they order the test online, either through our website or through Amazon or Chewy, and they're going to get mailed a kit. I probably have examples of kits around here. This is the age test, but you get a standard DNA test as well. And so you get the kit in the mail, and then you open up the kit, and it gives you the instructions. You go online, you register your kit so we know which kit goes with which dog, and then you swab your dog's saliva. We're basically just taking a cheek swab sample from your dog. If you don't think you can get enough saliva from your dog, the trick is to wave a treat in front of its nose and then swab the cheek, and that seems to work, 10 times.
As they drool.
Every minute of it when I was in there.
Right. Some dogs drool a lot more than other dogs, but if you need to get drool, like have a little treat in hand, and then but don't feed them the treat until after you've collected the sample. It just
Right.
makes it easier. Not that the treat contaminates the DNA, but if you get pieces of the treat in the tube, then when you try to pull up the pipette, it can get stuck, and then that can lead to a null result. Then you got to do the whole test again.
I have to say, it's very exciting as a pet owner when you get the results.
People love it. You get this little reveal. Sometimes people with mixed breed dogs a lot of times have like bets going on about which breeds are in the dogs, and our most rabid customer fans are the ones that bought the kit and then won that competition in their family, like they were the right ones.
By the way, your website is fabulous. I watched some of your videos on it. There is so much information on that, not only for just pet owners, but for breeders too. And I love that you do free consultations. Would you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we have so many passionate breeders that use our test. Either using the test for all of the animals that they're using for breeding, or in some cases testing whole litters so that they can decide who they want to keep in their breeding program. And so we really love working with these breeders to make sure we're offering the tests that they need in order to make their breeding decisions. They let us know when new research is being done. We have worked with them in the past, so we worked with the Rhodesian Ridgeback breed club, and they sent us some affected samples that we could combine with our customer database, and we actually were able to identify the genetic defect for recessive early adult onset deafness in Rhodesian Ridgebacks. We published that, and now it's included just as our standard panel, and so now breeders don't have to worry about creating affected deaf Ridgebacks, which is great because Ridgeback wants to do a job, and if it can't hear, it can't do that job, and it gets really
Right. And think of how many pet owners sometimes don't realize their dog is deaf.
Right.
They're trying to train a dog, and poor dog can't hear a thing, and why aren't you doing this? So, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That's really a wonderful service. We had Dr. Katrina Mealy on, who did the MDR1 gene and won Inventor of the Year. Why haven't you won Inventor of the Year? When I'm reading this about you, I'm like, why isn't that? Maybe the award is on here and I missed it. But this is a fabulous test.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. And of course we do include MDR1 testing on it because it is such an important test that Katrina developed. And to have gone from vets just saying white treat don't feed to now white feet don't treat to now being able to say actually it's not the coat color gene that's doing it, it's the shepherd ancestry, and not all shepherds have it. It's like whether the dog has this mutation, let's look at this mutation and treat this dog based on what we know about it as an individual.
I know what she's going to ask. White feet do not treat. Usually meant, Janet, it's a herding breed, and you don't want to give them things like ivermectin because it made them neurologic and certain other drugs.
No kidding.
So that's, yeah.
Even if it's like on a black lab?
Well,
no. So on
the
black labs aren't white, or black labs aren't white. Even cream labs aren't white. So yeah, this is a more technical.
Wow. I had no idea.
I love too. See, the reason that I contact you, Dr. Boyko, is because I was listening to another webinar you did for veterinarians. And one of my favorite parts was hearing about you and your brother going all over the world. You must have the biggest data bank for genetics in dogs. You have to have it, right? You do, your lab.
That's probably true. Yeah. So we've collected thousands of dogs, just my brother and I. And then, of course, it's actually a lot more efficient, in some ways more fun, in some ways less fun, to start a company and just have people send you the dogs from all over the world instead of you having to go out and collect it. Like, 99.5% of our dogs are all purebred dogs and mixed breed dogs, but that other 0.5% are like really interesting samples from places that my brother and I never would have thought to
Like Morocco.
Right. And so,
How did you approach them with a swab?
Yeah, what do you do? Go around the
Well, I mean, not all dogs are friendly. These were street dogs, right?
these were street dogs, but they're still treat motivated.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, it kind of depended on the community we were in. We did not do generally cheek swabs with the dogs because that's kind of the business end of the dog. So it's
Yeah.
much easier. Well, easy is a relative term, and it depends on the dog. But the goal would be to get a leash on the dog and muzzle the dog, and then draw a blood sample from the
Oh, that's
dog.
even harder. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we would work with local veterinarians, or I would have vet students in my lab that would travel with us. And
Oh, good.
So I'm picturing these two guys with backpacks with syringes.
I know that's how I saw
Bunch
it.
of muzzles.
Backpacking through these countries,
Going,
right?
Let's go.
yeah. And when we started doing it, we would actually centrifuge the blood in the field, and then ship it back in a more stable format. But we actually were able to eventually get the EDTA tubes to store the blood well enough and the shipping well enough that we didn't have to carry around a bulky centrifuge and then have to try to explain in Swahili to border guards the concept of centrifuge and why we're burying it and all of
Yeah.
that sort of
You have to write a book just about the collection. I mean, I just think, Janet, can you imagine him and his brother did? Can you imagine you and I doing stuff like that? No.
No, because my friend Ann tried to get this special salt through security, like white powder. And I'm on
right.
the other side of security going, just leave it behind. She goes, I can't. It's in my possession. It was some
I can't
gourmet
imagine.
cooking salt.
So you must speak several languages, Dr. Boyko.
I speak Spanish and my brother speaks French, and that gets us about
Me too.
60%. I don't speak Spanish well. It's a good thing we're not doing
Un
this in Spanish.
poquito.
Un poquito, sí.
That's what I say. Mi pero es mi postillo. Just kidding.
Un café para llevar.
What is your brother's training? Like, what side of the business is he?
So both him and I actually were computer science majors as undergrads, and then I got a PhD in biology. He did some anthropology work and then decided to go into public health.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm the older brother, and so, I got the faculty position as he was finishing up his master's, and we had worked together because he was going to all these, outrageous places doing his public health work. Studying hookworm transmission and Ebola and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, hey, can you collect some dogs while you're out there? And so,
Yeah.
but he didn't want to stay in academia. And, we had been developing at Cornell, we'd been working together on the Village Dog Project, and then my lab has also been working on trying to develop, dog genetic testing. And we didn't like the fact that, other companies that were doing dog DNA testing weren't generating data that we could use for research to explore and make new discoveries, but also didn't even think village dogs were a thing. So if you sampled the dog from India, it would come back as this outrageous mix of 30 different breeds, even though Indian street dogs have existed for millennia before we even started building any of these breeds. And so we're we could totally do a better test, and we did the legwork for that, and we tried to license that to all the existing companies that were out there that would talk to us, and none of them wanted to do it. They were like, it's good enough the way it is. And so really, it's a credit to my brother saying, I don't want to be an academic. Let's actually build this as a product. Let's license it from Cornell. Let's get in the incubator and let's do this thing. And
cool.
he raised money. We got seed funding. We raised a Series A. We raised a Series B. We have a team now, and we're almost to 3 million dogs in our database just from some of this test. So lots of people are buying the kit, and then buying the kit for their friends, buying the kit for their next dog.
Okay.
It's fun. It's not
fun.
only scientific and helping the health of the pet, but it's fun.
Right.
And I'm retired now, but when I was in practice and people said, I want to do DNA on my dog, I would always say, use Embark. It's the only one with true science behind it. I'm serious. And we had never met Dr. Boyko, but the reputation of the company was so stellar that I didn't want people spending money on some worthless stuff.
Okay,
Right.
so I gotta ask, what's like the weirdest, like strangest DNA result that came back? Like, did it have horse?
So early
Like a
on,
poodle that came back with Voxer or something.
so we're building all of these informatic pipelines. We were still probably 6 or 9 months into selling the test. So every time, every week a tranche of results would be coming back. The scientists would get a ping if we had what we thought was an unusual result, just so we could make sure there wasn't a bug in the pipeline or anything like
Yeah.
that, and we could stop it from going live and fix it if there was an issue, which starting out would happen occasionally, and then it like trickles off and it doesn't happen anymore, right? Now that we've done
Yeah.
it millions of times, and so we got this automatic flag, hey, somebody sent in a dog that's 100% coyote, and so we look at it, and it was coming from an animal shelter. And so we wrote the animal shelter and we're like, hey, before we release this result, we wanted to like just let you know that this is what the DNA is saying. And they're like, we thought there was something up about this dog.
Oh.
And that's why we
Wow.
decided to do a DNA test before deciding whether to adopt it out.
But it
I'm
must
surprised
have
they
been.
didn't breed it with, Janet, I'm surprised they didn't breed it with a poodle to make a coyote doodle. Because
Boy, doodle.
I'm in Florida right now. It's doodle everywhere. Everything's a doodle.
Right.
But it must have been a tame coyote.
Well, it was a juvenile still.
Okay, it was yeah. What do they call
Yeah,
them?
but they still thought there was something off enough that they didn't want to try to just adopt it out.
Like when your kid brings home a little baby raccoon and goes, "Look at the kitty I found."
Right.
Oh my gosh.
I want to ask you, because when I was looking at some of your YouTube videos on your website, which we'll have in the show notes, you had mentioned that about how when you have a breed defect, let's talk about hip dysplasia, for example, you don't want to concentrate on always breeding it out because then other things take over. Am I wrong in explaining that?
Well, you can only select for so much at a time. So
Okay.
it's going to be a balance of things. And with hip dysplasia, it's a complex disease, and I think it's not really fixed. It's at a higher frequency in some breeds, but I think you're always better off concentrating on the dogs that don't have hip dysplasia or have a lower grade of it, and trying to keep out of the breeding pool the dogs that have the highest degree of it. I think where you
Gotcha.
get into trouble is where you have genetic defects where you have single mutations that are at high frequency in that breed.
Okay.
So like IVDD is at high frequency in dachshunds and beagles, and you have such a low frequency of dogs that don't have any copies of it that if you just concentrated breeding those dogs, you would really decimate the genetic diversity, because not only do you lose the genetic defect, you lose all the other genetic diversity that's in those dogs.
You're looking at the positive as opposed to the negative. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Now, here's a question. Do you have any information on hemangiosarcoma in golden retrievers?
We have some information in the Embark data. I've actually been looking at it a lot from the Morris Animal Foundation's Golden Retriever Lifetime Study. And so that study is still in progress, but they've been following them longitudinally. And we do have over 100 now hemangiosarcoma endpoints. And we're starting to tease apart some of the genetics that goes with hemangiosarcoma and lymphoma. And histolytic sarcoma and these sorts of, and it's not the same locus for all of these cancers.
So you know what? My first dog died of hemangiosarcoma, and I've been following it ever since. It wasn't a golden; it was just a big mutt. And to be honest, Dr. Boyko, it doesn't seem like we've made much progress at all with that disease.
Right.
Which is very scary.
Yeah. So I mean, mapping cancer risk, it just requires larger data sets. Most of the scientists to recruit that many cases when you're working, even at a research hospital is extremely difficult. But when you have, if you can follow up with the owners after the DNA tests, or if you have, donors with foresight that can fund a study in a breed like golden retrievers that have a high cancer frequency, then you will get enough well phenotyped cases for the cancer that you can start to tease apart the genetics of it. And we're starting to see different studies in different cohorts settling on the same genetic loci, which is encouraging.
Wow. Yeah. Hope you're enjoying today's Speaking of Pets podcast. Every week we feature a board-certified specialist, dermatology, me, oncology, internal medicine, orthopedic surgery, ophthalmology, dentistry, you name it. If it affects pets, we're on it.
We're here to share some really good information for pet owners, practical information that is science-based, so that you can be a pet owner and have a healthier pet.
To learn more about your pet's health, check out our other episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi everyone, I'm Larry. Some of you know me as Grandpa Larry, and I run Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, where we share sweet and educational videos about baby gorillas, zoo animals, and the amazing teams who care for them. If you love animals of all kinds, I'd love to have you join us. You'll meet little ones like Jamila and Kayembe, learn how zoo families grow, and enjoy real moments that bring joy and curiosity to animal lovers everywhere. Just search Larry's Animal Safari on YouTube, or click the link in the show notes. New videos go up weekly, and each one supports awareness for animal care and conservation. Thanks to Speaking of Pets podcast for all they do. Now, let's get back to the show.
So how can this DNA testing, how can it help me be a better pet owner?
Well, so it tells you, first of all, is there anything in terms of the genetic health screen that you should be aware of? And, most pet owners aren't going to breed their dog, so they don't really care if their dog is a carrier for something. They only care if their dog is at risk for something. And so most of the time the dog is not at risk for something, but it's still, like each genetic defect is, maybe up to 1% frequency in the general pet population. But when you're testing for 270 different genetic defects, it turns into, 15 to 20% of these dogs are going to be at risk for something and pet owners should know about it. Now, a lot of the times it's things that you can just change the environment or change the diet. So if you got exercise-induced collapse, if you know the dog is at risk for that, you can just how you exercise the dog, and and again, that was another case where we flagged early on, hey, this Labrador came back with exercise-induced collapse, and the owner hadn't told us anything about it. So then we call up the owner, and the owner's like, because it wasn't a puppy, it was like a 9-year-old dog, and the owner's like, oh, that explains so many things. Like their dog had exercise-induced collapse, but it never had gotten diagnosed because they never even heard of the disease before. I thought to bring it up with a veterinarian.
Wow.
HUU, you change the diet of the dog, and now suddenly, like this really expensive and painful, bladder stones that the dog experiencing, you never have to go through that. All the expensive diagnostics and the pain that your dog has. So there's all these opportunities to prevent the ravages of the disease. But even when you can't prevent it, like if you know your dog is going to go deaf, or you know your dog is going to go blind, you know what to look out for. I should train my dog with hand signals, or should train my dog vocally. Maybe I should get another dog that can be a seeing eye dog for my dog later on. You can make these sorts of decisions ahead of time that people find. And I mean, there was another case where somebody just wanted to know the breed mix of their dog, but it turned out their dog also was at risk for a bleeding disorder. And is that a disease that the dog's going to die from necessarily? No, but in this case, the dog months later got hit by a car, but the guy had already done his research and knew to take him, which vet hospitals had transfusions on site, and immediately took the dog there, and the dog was able to recover.
I mean, it's so proactive, And, right now I'm helping out a shelter. It's called Silver Snout Senior Dog Rescue. It's all little dogs. And so we don't know what breed they are. And we have some wonderful owners that just adopted a dog named Randy Patrick, who was on prednisone for so long because he had a disease called pemphigus. But I got him off and we're controlling him with something else. So now he's got a lot of hair. So now we can kind of tell what breed he is. But I want them to do Embark DNA on him because, first of all, he probably is a Schnauzer mix,
Yep.
and he was on all these steroid, and I'm worried about pancreatitis with him, you know, so I want him on a high fiber, low fat diet. So these little mixes, I mean, it would behoove the owners adopting them. Do this Embark DNA. Let's find out what they are. So, because they're older dogs too.
Right.
So we can be proactive in preventing, because if this dog had chronic pancreatitis, next step, diabetes. And we don't want that to happen. We can stave that off with the proper diet.
You know how people do the outfit of the day, like on Instagram? Alice gets a daily update on, what is it, Randy Patrick?
Oh, yes, because the owners, I sent him to the ophthalmologist the other day because he has corneal dystrophy. Wait, and God bless him, guess what? I got a picture of him at the ophthalmologist office at Blue Pearl. I mean, this dog hit the mother lode. These people worship him. But that's my point. These seniors are getting a second chance at life because a lot of them have been street dogs or not cared for properly. And so to have that genetic information that can prolong their life even longer and a happier life, I think what you guys do is wonderful. Janet, we've got to nominate him for Inventor of the Year.
I
him and
know.
his brother.
Where's the Academy? We got to call them.
And why isn't the brother on today too? He needs a little credit for,
we should,
for blood testing these Moroccan
Maybe we can do him on
dogs.
another week.
Yes, tag team.
Right.
Well, the two sisters will do the Boyko brothers. It'll be like the Kelsey brothers show.
Yeah, we've done
So
shows together before, and
what do
we
you-
usually insult each other a little bit.
Yeah, the Novotny sisters with the Boyko brothers.
So,
It's Eastern European revisited.
so what do you see happening in this industry in the next 10 years?
Oh God, I see tons happening for them.
I do too, but I want to know from the Dr.
Yeah.
Schmachter, like what he
Yeah.
sees.
Well, so now that we have bigger data sets together, we are starting to untangle some of the genetics around more complex diseases, in addition to some of the rarer diseases that just afflict certain breeds, right? So, you know, when we launched the test, it was 150 health conditions we were testing for. Now it's 270 health conditions that we were testing for. But also, now we can use the genetics to predict in a probabilistic way, this is a dog that's at higher risk for allergies. This is a dog that's at lower risk for allergies. We don't know if the dog's going to develop allergies or what it's going to develop allergies to, but we can tell from the genetics how its immune system is wired and that sort of risk for allergy development, which of course
I love
depends
that.
on environment
Yeah.
and all of that. And there's, you know, we have not launched a cancer risk score, but with all of this research going on, there are labs and development around risk scores for particular cancers where genetics seems to be well predictive. So I think that's interesting, and it gives breeders yet another tool. I wouldn't breed on a risk score solely, just like I wouldn't breed on a COI solely, and I wouldn't breed on a HIP score solely. But to have that piece of information, because otherwise, how are you going to breed out cancer risk?
Yeah.
Because the dogs are developing cancer after you've already bred them. It becomes extremely difficult. We want long-lived dogs. I mean, wouldn't it be great if we had a longevity score for all of these dogs, right? And so people who wanted to breed for longevity, you know, knew to include that when they were evaluating dogs for their breeding program.
Are you doing much with PRA, Janet? PRA is progressive retinal atrophy. It's where dogs go blind, certain breeds. Are you doing much with that, Adam?
I mean, we test for the known mutations, and there's several different known mutations
so
for
sad.
PRI
Yeah.
or PRA, and and it's a recessive disorder, so it's at relatively high frequency in some breeds. So there's lots of carriers out there, and you want to be sure you're not crossing a carrier with another carrier because you don't want to create affected litters.
So
go ahead, Gina.
no, you go.
Okay, so, and not to talk about dermatology, but how about dermatomyositis? Doing anything with that? Familial canine dermatomyositis, Collie, Sheltie?
No,
It's
we
a
don't have a
vasculitis.
test for that right now. I know there is some interesting
It's
research.
autosomal dominant with incomplete penetrance. I
Right,
do
right,
remember
right.
that.
And so that's the problem with that one. So we have been doing some investigations, but we haven't launched it as a test because the models that are predictive in Collie aren't predictive in other breeds at all. And so we kind of want to get to the bottom of it a little bit more before we before we do something like that, because we are testing all different breeds of dogs and mixes of dogs, and so just a better understanding about how different genes and different genetic backgrounds, so we can make the right prediction.
You know what? It'd be one thing, Janet, real quick, because this is interesting. That same
'Cause I'm
disease.
not.
No. But this is an interesting point about dermatomyositis. The same disease in people affects the same portions of the body: the knuckles, the carpi, the tarsi, the face, and the tail tip, and of course us. It would be the
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it's fascinating. Except dogs have more skin lesions than muscle. Dermatoskin, myomuscle. So when a dermatomyositis person goes into the doctor's office, they'll make them say, "Squat down and get up for me," and they can't do it because their muscles are inflamed. But dogs, we don't see too much muscle activity. It'd be interesting to compare those genetics, between
Right.
humans with the disease and dogs with the
Well,
disease.
most dogs I know have
I wouldn't know
thicker
how
skin
to
than
do
most
it, I'm
people
just
I know.
saying.
Okay, so I have a crazy.
Sorry, go ahead, Janet.
So I'm thinking about, okay, so there's the human DNA banks, right? And certain companies share that information with like the FBI and the police, all that.
Oh, right.
And-
Like on the crime shows.
Right, but some of them don't. They guarantee that they don't share your information, right? So has it ever happened where you had to provide that DNA information for a dog like that was in a crime? Like a bite?
It's never happened for a crime. There is. I think most of the crime stuff goes through UC Davis because they're set up for a chain of custody handling that we're not set up for as a direct-to-consumer company.
Yeah.
But we have been called several times to evaluate dogs where they've been taken because the government thinks that they're a wolf or an illegal wolf dog, and we can
Not a coyote. Oh,
Right,
wolf.
right. and because we're looking at 100,000 plus
Yeah.
markers, we can actually much more accurately get to the bottom of what fraction of this animal is actually wolf or is it wolf. I mean, in some cases you have dogs that were bred as wolf-likes that don't have any wolf ancestry, right? But you need a genetic test to do that. And so you get desperate owners, can you please test my dog so I can get it back?
That's fascinating, So I'm assuming you guarantee privacy for your patients to to the human.
Yeah, we don't. So there is an option, so people can opt in or out of having their dog's profile used for scientific research.
Okay.
But even if it's used for scientific research, it's anonymized, right? We don't release the dog's name or the owner's name. There have been cases where we've been collaborating with National Institutes of Health or other
right.
research institutions, and there are samples that are particularly interesting for that study where follow-up by those researchers would be, and so we will privately reach out to the customers and be like, hey, we wanted you to know, thank you for opting your dog into scientific research. It's actually really valuable. Can we put you in touch with these researchers? And 9 times out of 10, the owners are just thrilled to be able to do that. And sometimes
yeah.
they get their dog's picture on the cover of a scientific journal and all that kind of stuff.
Are you looking at different diseases like Addison's disease, Cushing's disease? Are there genetic markers for that?
Yeah,
too?
so we ask owners in an annual health survey, what has your dog been diagnosed with? What were they treated with? And then we can churn those numbers and we can, okay, so comparing dogs that were diagnosed with Addison's disease versus matched controls, so dogs that have similar breed mixes and similar ages but don't have that diagnosis, do we see any genetics pulling out? And we can ask that, at scale for over 100 conditions. And so some of them do pull out associations that are worth following up on. Of course, we don't want to just take an association and then just offer it as a test. We want to actually understand what's the mutation going on, what's the penetrance of that mutation, how should an owner interpret that. So it's an ongoing process.
Because Addison's is often missed, so it's so nice to have a heads up. If my dog isn't acting right and I have this genetic screening, I could say to the vet, hey, could you see if this is Addison's? Can you do a test? You know what I'm saying?
Right. And, of course, a genetic result isn't a diagnosis, but knowing that your dog has a higher propensity to develop it
Right.
then you know what to look out for, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's particularly
I love
valuable with degenerative myopathy, where if you know that your dog carries the DM allele, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
he's going to develop the disease, but you hate it when the owner doesn't know what to look for and the dog is suffering and the owner doesn't realize it.
Yeah. That's another disease we know nothing about,
Right.
Sadly.
Okay, so I have to ask, do you have pets?
I do. So I had a mixed breed little gray dog until last year. She actually had diabetes, but actually she lived with diabetes for 6.5 years, even though she was blind for the last 3 years, and it was mast cell tumor that finally took her last year. So we're all sad about that, but we still have 4 ducks and a bearded dragon.
Oh,
And a bearded dragon.
can you do duck DNA? No.
I've been asked that before. Yeah, so there's lots of exotic pets where there is interest in doing DNA testing. We haven't branched out into any of that, but that, maybe as a second gig, that'll be fun to do.
Janet and I had ducks as pets, Phoebe, Romeo, and Juliet. We
Oh, nice.
loved our duck pets. Yeah.
Every
Yeah, we
Easter,
have
my
Khaki
dad would
Campbell's.
do that.
Yep.
What are your ducks' names?
So we have Martha, Eliza, Stripey, and Archibald.
Well, Eliza is from Hamilton.
Yeah, we tried to do all Hamilton, but then the kids named Stripey and Archibald.
They didn't get the memo.
They're all female Khaki Campbells or hybrid Khaki Campbells.
Ducks are fun.
Yeah, they
They're
are. They're a lot of
smart.
fun. My ducks are not particularly smart, but they are. Maybe some people have smart ducks, but
We always got them every Easter. My dad would bring them from some farm in Ohio, and then we'd raise them, and then they'd go back to the farm. But we really didn't know what happened at that point.
Yeah, these
And
were,
then-
these were
yeah,
shipped as
and then-
babies from a farm in Kansas. You
Oh,
can tell your postal carrier that way.
yes. No, I was at the post office once, and there were live chicks or something in there. Yeah,
Really?
in the box. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Boyko, we have to ask you our guest question. What is your pet or human peeve?
Pet or human peeve?
Like
Like what
don't use
bugs
a
you?
blinker, it could be what.
Janet, I think he's pretty tolerant because he's been in so many countries.
Yeah.
where-
When they don't stamp my passport.
Is
right.
it your brother? Because Janet gets on my nerves sometimes.
And
I guess
we-
having traveled so much, I think my peeve is standing in line for 2 hours at a checkpoint, usually at an airport, and then
Yeah.
the person in front of you doesn't have their documents ready.
Oh.
When I'm like, you've had literally all day to prepare for this.
You have
Like
2
how do you-
hours.
Right.
It's like when you go to the grocery store and someone thinks, "Oh, wait, I have to pay for this?" I
No.
mean, you've been in line.
Okay, here's mine. When you're getting off the plane, what
Oh.
takes so long?
Right.
I know, but Janet, you're one of those that
Up here,
shoots
you
out
pull
and
it
people
down.
think you're really rude.
You
Yep.
get your backpack. Let's go, people. And the other one time, it was recently. We were flying. And I'm waiting for the guy in 8A to get out of his seat, and I just went around, and he went, "That was so rude." I go, "Well, it took you forever." I was out.
Yeah.
Right.
I know. As soon as those brakes are on, I'm up in my seat. I'm maybe not getting out, but I'm up.
I'm like, out. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Grab the bag, make sure everything's in the bag, and then as soon as in front of me is cleared, I can just walk
That
out.
just makes me nuts.
Actually, the one thing that bothers me more than that is when somebody pushes past me because it's important for them to get out of the plane
Yeah.
before me, and then I pass by them on the jet bridge because they're waiting for their gate-checked luggage.
I have to say one funny story. My son and I were looking at colleges, and I think we were in Atlanta. And that's that huge airport.
Oh, yeah.
And we wanted to get the special burgers from what company would it have been? Some hot burger,
What a burger or something
whatever
like
it was.
that.
And so
Yeah.
my son's in line going, "Should I abort?" And I'm at the plane, and I know once you get on the plane, you can't get off. So I'm standing at the, where you go on the plane, and the pilot comes out and he goes, "What, are you going to get on?" And I said, "Look, my son is at that burger place," and he goes, "I'll hold the plane for you." And
Oh, right.
and he did. No, he got in the cockpit, and I waited for my son Kyle and went like this to him, and he goes, "Okay." And we got on the plane, and we were
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, right.
It
Okay.
was-
Yeah.
It was like in and out or something like that, whatever. So it was kind of fun.
Listen, flying used to be fun. It's not fun anymore.
It's hell.
It is tough. Yeah,
No.
last Valentine's Day, my wife and I and kids spent Valentine's Day at the Atlanta Hilton Airport Hotel because we missed our connection. So we got up our 6 a.m. out of Syracuse.
Yep.
The plane was there. We were there. The pilots were there. The gate agent was there, but the flight crew slept in.
Oh,
So-
wow.
And they canceled the flight.
No, they delayed it 3 hours, so everybody missed their connection.
So everyone missed their...
Instead of having Valentine's Day in the Caribbean, we had Valentine's Day at the Atlanta airport.
My son was just going to Alaska straight from New York, which is like 11 hours. They canceled the whole flight, and he said it had something to do with the crew, like so many hours or something.
Yeah, that happens a
And they
lot.
moved it to the next day. So he's like, do I come back out? And he came back out, and they refunded his Uber instead of paying for the hotel. But he still lost he goes, I spent a whole vacation day at JFK.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah. When you
no.
only have a 7-day vacation, like losing a
Yeah.
day hurt. Yeah, Delta was good. They paid for
on
a
that.
meal and they paid for the hotel, but it's still, and it was bad because we were going with my parents and my parents.
Oh.
We're traveling on a separate plane.
Yeah.
And so they land on this island, and we're not there. And they don't have an international calling plan. They don't want to drive at night. They, so they were stuck.
Did they have a good time, though, after all?
After we got there, they had a great time.
Oh, so you ended up... Okay. Oh, gee.
But yeah.
Well, this has been unbelievable. Your website's fabulous. We love it. We love
Embark
the work
DNA,
you do.
I'm telling you, it's the only way to go.
Glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, we just love hearing customer stories, hearing what customers want. We're always trying to do more research and trying to tell them as much as possible. Get on the cutting edge.
Well, thank
Find
you.
out if your dog is part coyote.
Yeah, that's always a curveball that most people don't want to know about.
If they had,
What about cats? Before we go, what about cats? Anything in the works for cats?
So scientifically, cats are less
Yes.
interesting because they're not all different shapes and sizes. They're not all different behaviors, right? Like we foster cats in kittens in my household. Like the kids love the kittens.
Yeah.
My wife and I are allergic to the adult cats, so we don't have a permanent.
Oh, wait, live clear that
Hold on.
food by
I'm sure
Purina
allergic people-
reduces the allergenicity
Okay.
by 40%.
Let
But
me
go
try
ahead.
that and see if we can keep the kittens a little longer.
Yes. Yeah,
But,
you'd love that.
but scientifically, there's more than enough to do with dogs. So, and there's other cat researchers.
Yeah,
We let them
true.
deal with the cats, and yeah.
I have a feeling the next step for you would be bearded dragon or duck stuff.
I have received passionate proposals from everything from pythons to parrots, so it could be.
Oh, I bet.
Whatever.
Well, don't talk about pythons here in Florida because
It's a-
apparently there's no small mammals left in the Everglades at all,
Jeez, yeah.
including the killdeer, the cute little deer. They eat them too. Yeah, it's bad.
You managed to freeze out a lot of the iguanas this winter, though, at least.
You know what? We had a place in Sanibel, and iguanas are plentiful there. We're in Venice now. Knock on wood, we have not seen. My husband said to me the other day, we haven't seen any iguanas here. So they must like Sanibel better, farther
Yeah.
south.
Yeah, my grandparents
Good.
retired in Leesburg, and then we traveled around from around there.
Oh yeah, Leesburg. We drive through that on the way here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the pathologist, the derm pathologist I used to use is in Leesburg. Yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, Janet, we need to wrap it up. Adam, thank you so much. I was looking so much forward to talking with you. This
Thanks.
has been so
It was
much
fun.
So, Janet, I'm going to let you wrap it up.
So thank you so much. Thanks for listening.
Thanks a
Yeah.
lot.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for watching.
And listening,
We like likes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Speaking of Pets.
And give your pets a big kiss from the Novotny sisters.
The Speaking of Pets podcast is an SLA video production.